Every day I go to the news sites for comic books and I wonder what little gem is Marvel going to put out there that I'm just like, no wonder nobody is buying any of your fucking comic books. No wonder nobody supports your stuff. No wonder none of your ongoing series could make it past 10 issues because you quite frankly have the worst creative ideas in the world. And they almost always deliver, basically on a daily basis. Today we're going to talk about the future of Iron Fist, Danny Rand. Maybe not an A-lister, maybe not a B-lister, but certainly a C-list character within the Marvel Comics universe. He's had his own TV show. He was part of the Defenders universe on Netflix with Daredevil and all that kind of stuff. And it did feel like at one point, maybe we would get a renaissance when it came to Danny Rand, the Iron Fist. But those hopes were certainly dashed when Larry Hama, of all people, went on to Iron Fist, had Danny give up the power over to Okoye, who didn't want it because it wasn't that impressive, and then it ended up on another character, and then they killed him off for his 50th anniversary and all that kind of stuff. But Danny Rand Iron Fist is coming back, and as you're about to see, they have not a good fucking idea how to do it. Marvel Comics is bringing back Danny Rand, but not in the way fans might expect. The Undead Iron Fist is a new 4-issue limited series launching in September of 2025. It's written by Jason Loo, who penned the character's death in 2024. This time around, Rand sports a completely reimagined look, a glowing purple skull hidden behind a new mask, signaling a dramatic shift from the classic costume. According to the creative team, the series will dive deep into the lost history of the Iron Fist legacy, blending martial arts action with supernatural mystery, and making Danny Rand's bizarre resurrection the centerpiece. Bizarre resurrection indeed. Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, is coming back as a zombie with a glowing purple head. If that doesn't sell you on the fucking comic book, I don't know what will. You are just being hypercritical if you can't just buy into a really fucking stupid idea like this. So they kill the character off, which we'll get to here in a second, how they did it. And their idea to bring him back like a year later, actually over a year later, it'll be over 12 months by the time this character comes back after his fucking death, is to make him a zombie, give him a new mask that hides his purple glowing skull, and then put him on perhaps the least competent writer at Marvel Comics. And that's fucking saying something because it is Marvel Comics in 2025. Jason Loo is less competent than Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig. Jason Loo is less competent than Steve Fox. Jason Loo is less competent than Gail Simone in 2025. That's how fucking bad this guy is. And that's how you know the Undead Iron Fist is actually not meant to be read. I do not know why they're even making the book. Maybe they're contractually obligated to keep the fucking copyright or something like that. But if they wanted an Iron Fist book featuring Danny Rand that people would like, they would have put anybody in the entire fucking world on the book other than Jason Loo, who did such classics as Concert of Champions and Dazzler. Maybe we can get some original, awesome gay lyrics for fucking Undead Iron Fist. He also did that Werewolf by Night book, which I guess has more flavor and tone in common with the Undead Iron Fist. But if you read Werewolf by Night, it also sucked. Maybe not quite as bad as Dazzler, maybe not quite as bad as Concert of Champions, but those are amongst the worst comic books Marvel has produced in a decade. And it's probably the worst decade creatively in the history of Marvel Comics. That's just how incompetent and terrible Jason Loo is. And they've come up with this really stupid idea, but there's going to be a new costume. So if you got some spec value, perhaps in, I don't know, 42 years, this $4.99 comic book will only depreciate to $2.99 in value because there's a first appearance of a flaming purple skull fucking Danny Rand with a new costume. Not that the costume looks bad. You throw like a skull face kind of thing with the colors on Danny Rand. Yeah, it sure looks cool. But that's not going to be enough to save this comic book because you do have Jason fucking Loo on it. And it's Zombie Iron Fist. Nobody asked for this. Literally, who asked for this? Nobody? Exactly. That's exactly who asked for it. Now, this all stems from a shocking moment in Iron Fist 50th Anniversary Special Number 1, released in August of 2024. In that issue, Danny was killed by the mystical creature Chi Lin on his 34th birthday, an event written by Jason Loo and illustrated by Will Portacio. But the real twist came through a QR code at the end of the issue, which led to a digital stinger showing a skeleton hand rising from Rand's grave. That reveal split the fan base. Some thought the QR tease was clever and modern, while others saw it as a cheap gimmick that undercut the weight of the story. Now with the Undead Iron Fist, Danny returns in a half-resurrected state, set to confront the darker corners of Kunlun and challenge what the Iron Fist legacy even means anymore. And really, what does the Iron Fist legacy mean anymore? Even Larry Hama himself shit all over it when you went back and read that story. So it doesn't mean much. And there are ways that you could get Iron Fist back over. Never be a huge seller, but make fans happy and maybe have some type of longevity with the character. This, of course, isn't one of them. They never should have killed off the character in this 50th anniversary special, which I'll get to in a second. But if you want Danny Rand Iron Fist to work, you need to get Heroes for Hire back together. You need to pair him back up with Luke Cage Power Man, and maybe you can fix the Luke Cage legacy that's been absolutely destroyed over the last, when did fucking Bendis ruin that character? 10, 15 years or whatever. And you need to get those two characters back together and actually do a Heroes for Hire fucking book that isn't them going cosmic or doing stupid shit. You just need to forget everything to really work with this. But I had even forgotten about the death of Danny Rand. It was that inconsequential. And I did a video on it. I know that I did, because I talked about that stupid QR code. What a stupid fucking idea. And the fact that Tom Brevoort, who's the executive editor at Marvel Comics, ever defended this practice just shows you how lost this company is. The most important page of the book, the resurrection hand coming out of the grave of Danny Rand, isn't in the book. If you go to your dollar bin right now and you open the book, you will not find the fucking page. You have to scan it with a phone and see it in like little tiny resolution stuff like that. But why kill the character off in his 50th anniversary? Is that really a way to celebrate the character? I don't think so. Maybe it was just part of their grand plan to put Jason Loo back on an Undead Iron Fist book and make him a fucking zombie ninja. Not that I don't like zombie ninjas. I like Penta and all that kind of stuff. But for the Danny Rand Iron Fist character, it really doesn't do much. And they've already pissed off the fans enough that I guess they said, you know what, fuck it. Let's take it all the way. Let's see this thing all the way to the fucking finish line and really break this character for good. And of course, Danny Rand isn't even Iron Fist right now. You might not even realize that. People probably forgot about this, because that brings us to Lin Lie, the current Iron Fist. He took up the Iron Fist mantle in 2022 after Danny gave it up to save the dragons of the Heavenly Cities. Lin was introduced as a bold new direction, a younger Chinese warrior meant to redefine the franchise, but in the years since, Marvel hasn't really done much with him. His appearances have been sparse, and the character hasn't had a strong narrative arc to make him stand out. Now, with Danny Rand returning from the dead in a big, visually striking new series, there's real concern that Lin Lie is about to get sidelined or completely forgotten. Real concern that he might be sidelined and forgotten? He already was sidelined and completely forgotten. I don't think anybody fucking knew that Lin Lie, aka Swordmaster, is still a fucking Iron Fist. I kind of remembered it, because I've talked about it in the past, because I don't think, like, Swordmaster is not a great character, and he's never going to draw a bunch of money, but as far as, like, the more recent, newly developed Marvel characters, like, he didn't steal anybody else's mantle, and he was kind of interesting, like, what he was doing, and he had, like, the shards of these crystals in his hands and all that kind of shit, were pretty interesting. And then they ruined him by trying to make him into the Iron Fist, because a white character like Danny Rand can't know Kung Fu, because that's cultural appropriation, even though we're going pretty fucking heavy into stereotypes. If only Chinese people and Asians can know fucking Kung Fu or martial arts in the Marvel universe. But I guess you're not supposed to see it that way. But this character has already been sidelined, already been completely forgotten, and I don't think anybody even realizes to this day, probably even at Marvel Comics, that Lin Lie is still the fucking Iron Fist. But he is, apparently. Did you read the series from Alyssa Wong? It wasn't very good. Shocking. She doesn't do much good. Sometimes there's a good first issue or two, and then she totally boxes the plot. And then sometimes, like her Iron Fist book featuring Lin Lie, she just fucks it up for the very beginning. But that was another sign that they didn't care about Lin Lie being the Iron Fist, because they put fucking Alyssa Wong on the book. Back in the day, if they wanted to get something like that over, they would have put Rick Remender on the book, and it would have been fucking cool, and it would have had a fighting chance. But nowadays, they throw Jason Loo or fucking Alyssa Wong on the project, and destroy any chance that it ever had of succeeding. Not that I think Zombie Iron Fist really has any chance of succeeding with anybody. Maybe Robert Kirkman could do that and make people like it. And certainly I don't think that Lin Lie, the Swordmaster becoming the Iron Fist, really had a chance to get over. But you could have at least written a good story. You could have hired somebody that would have made it cool and really dared people to say that they didn't like it. You throw these incompetent writers on there, and it's so easy, just like, fuck it. I'm out of here. So there you go. If you are an Iron Fist fan, I've got terrible news for you. The character is still not important to Marvel Comics. They are continuing to throw their worst writers on it. Danny Rand is kind of back, but he's also a fucking zombie. And Lin Lie is still the Iron Fist, so it's a complete clusterfuck. Just bring the Heroes for Hire back, get him back with Luke Cage, and get this mess over with. It's time for a return to classic Marvel characters and stories. It's time for Marvel Rebirth. That's what we need, because this is getting embarrassing. If you appreciate this kind of no-holds-barred, honest take on all comic book news, especially Marvel, who need it today, they need to be shit on now more than ever, and you would like to support our mission of providing that news, also reviewing comics, having great conversations here on the channel, the best place to do that is Think Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. There's a button right here. And we've got some phenomenal podcasts featuring your favorite guests right here on the channel every single day. Hope to see you there very soon.